Welcome CSC200 for spring 2021, where this will be exercise 3, and we will be doing some more queries with our president's database and our president's table with a capital P. And I'm in PythonAnywhere right now. And again, just to make sure you're familiar working in PythonAnywhere, this is the dashboard, and you'll see things like your files and your consoles. I can see I have a console open here, and I can close it by going to recent consoles, but I'm just going to see what's here because I may have an open one. And remember, you can have more than one open. And when I go here, I'm going to scroll, but I don't have anything going on here. I'm just going to hit my back button. So I can use that. But if you didn't have any open or you needed to close them, I could go here and I could close that and kill the console. And then I could go back to my dashboard. And when I go to databases, then I could go into my console for that particular database there. So I can launch a console here too that'll go right into there, and it'll go right into my president's database. So I don't have to select a database and do all that because I'm going to be in my president's database. And again, just be aware it's a small p for the president's database, and the president's table has a capital P. And we also have a column name that's called president with a capital P that we're actually going to change. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to focus on the where clause a little bit. We're going to use the group by. We're also going to use a count function, and we're going to update a record, and we're going to alter our column name in the table. So we're going to do a couple things here. And we're going to be focusing on the years in office, the party, and the college of the presidents, and just run some different queries on those topics as we get used to working in SQL and PythonAnywhere a little bit more. So the first thing I'll do here is I'll just kind of do a select all. You don't have to select the database. I'll just do a select all just to see my table. And remember, it's capital P presidents for the table. It's not a president table. It's presidents, and it's a capital P, so I'll do that. And I just want to see my table. There should be 44 records. And I just want to be familiar with all the column names at the top, so I'll just keep this here right now. But another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to open up my dashboard in a new tab. So I'll right-click and say Open a New Tab. And there's my dashboard, so that I have my console open here in my dashboard. Because the reason I want to go back in here is I want to go to my files. And I want to go into my databases folder. And this is where my president's SQL file was at. And we're going to look at this more and maybe even copy and paste some things from here as we update some records. But I'll just go back to databases right now. And that's my main directory. So I'm in databases right now. I only have president's SQL. And I'm going to create a new file. And I'm just going to call it presidents. And I'll put underscore and I'll call it code. And I'll put capital letters. And I'll make it an SQL, and I'll click on New File. So it's just code here. I have my database, and this is called code. And you could even call it working code. And I'll hit New File, and you might say, well, why are you calling it working code? Well, then I could work on code in here and then paste it here, because you know how it's kind of a pain to be typing things here, because then you have to backspace and you have to insert things. Well, we could type regular code here. So even things like, select all, which sometimes I mess that up when I type it and put a semicolon on there. I could start writing code here and then just copying and paste it to my console. So I'm going to copy this, and I'll just go back just to test it out. And I'll go here. Well, actually, I don't want to do that again. Let me do something else first. But you can do that. So I'll keep that there because I may want to use that every time I display my table. So I'm going to keep that there. Now, what I'm going to do next with my code here, we're going to update a record first because we have the 44th president as Barack Obama, and it only has 6 years because obviously this wasn't, whenever this database was created, he wasn't in office for 8 years yet, and we still have to put Trump in there after that. But we're going to update this to be 8.0, and we're going to do that first. So we're going to update our table first. We're going to update our record and make sure that's 8.0. So I'm going to take this and copy it. And I'm going to go to my working file here, and I'll just put some space in between. And I'm going to be updating presidents. So that's the table that I'm working in. And then I'm setting, well, I don't know what I'm setting. Let me double check. I'm setting years in office. And notice it has a capital Y, capital I, capital O. So I'm setting years in office. So I'm going to set years in office. And this is why you definitely want to do it here than trying to do that in the console. So I'm going to set years in office to be 8.0. Now I could do, I think with a number like that, I can use it with or without a quote, but I'll put a quote in here. I don't think it'll be a problem for what we're doing right now. Now, if I didn't have this where statement, it would make all of them 8.0. Like every president would have 8.0. So it's very important that you use the where statement. And notice you can put it on separate lines like this. You can keep it on one line like that, or you can hit return and put it on separate lines. Sometimes you'll see these kind of indented as well. But right now, I'm going to do that and just keep these on separate lines. That's the way they had it there, so that's fine. It's easier to see it. And this one is going to be where ID. Now just double check that that's ID. So the column is ID. So we want to put the column where the ID equals, and we want the Obama ID. So his ID, which is his number of president, is 44. So that's why we're going to just change him. So I'm going to make that 44. So this update statement should do that. So I'm going to copy this, update presidents, years in office, and I'm going to go back here, and then I could go right where my prompt is, and I'll paste that. And you can see when it's on multiple lines in your console, it'll put those little arrows there. You might see that pop up if you ever forget to do a semicolon, but I have the semicolon here, so I'll hit enter. And it says one row affected. Now, if I want to see it again, just to make sure it is, I could use this, and I could just paste that there to show my entire table again. And all that I want to see is that that says 8.0. And if you don't want to see all of this, remember that you can do this, and I'll copy and paste this since I might want to use this again. If you don't want to see every column, you could just put ID if you want to see that column. And then if you want to see president, which is the last name currently, and then if you want to see first name, I can put that column. And obviously I want to see the years in office. So I want to see those columns. So I'm only going to see 4 columns right now from presidents. So I'm going to use this to show the 4 columns. So I'll copy this and put it down here and just do a Control V or Command V and paste it. And there they are. So I see that he has 8.0 and everything worked out okay. So that way I can see it a little bit better. ID, president, first name, years in office, and Barack Obama has 8.0. And I mentioned about changing president to last name. I want to change president to last name. Now to do that, they don't really, it's going to be an alter table, but they don't really show you how exactly to do this in alter table here. There is alter table, but it didn't really show me how to change the column name. It showed how to add columns and drop columns, and I had to search around for it. So I'll just show you exactly what I found, and I'll just paste it in here. And this is the one that finally worked. I have this in parentheses. I should put a /*, and then at the end, I'll put a */ That's a comment. That's like a JavaScript comment, but that will also work in SQL. And if it shows up green, that's a good thing. That means it's a comment. Now this statement here, alter table. So we're going to alter the table presidents, and we're going to change the column name president to last name. This is the old name, new name. And in order to get it to work, it had to have varchar on it. And you can change the number, because I think it originally was 10, but I don't know. There might be a president with a last name longer than 10 letters or something like that. So I can make this longer. I can change that, but it needs the data type. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make sure I have my semicolon there. And this is the way it worked. I had to search a couple places before I found in Stack Overflow the right way, and it took a little bit of experimenting to finally get it to work. So anyway, this is going to work for changing a column name, because there's different versions of MySQL. There's Oracle, non-Oracle, all that kind of stuff. So this one worked, at least for what we're doing in here. And I'm going to go down again, and I'll paste it down in the bottom. And remember, you can even check it here. Alter table president, change president, which is the old column name, the original column name, to the new column name, last name. I'll do it with a capital L, capital N, and then I'll put my data type on there, which is varchar. And we don't need commas in between these. And I'll hit enter. And it says records 44, and you might be saying, well, I just updated the column. But because we changed the varchar, or the varchar, I guess varchar, it's character, I'll say varchar. Because it updated that, it did have to update all the records so that all of them have now a wider space for their last name. And if you want to see it again, I could just go back here, and I could even do this one. Now, when I do this one now, I'm going to have an error, and I could just try it out. I'm going to get an error because it says unknown column president. Now that's good because I don't have that. That means it worked. So if I go there and copy this again, and I'm going to copy it so I have my new version here to use, and this one's going to be last name. That way I can use this for some other things and just keep copying and pasting from my code here. I could save incrementally here if I want. And I'll try this with ID, last name, first name, and it has years in office from presidents. So I'll try that out. And there it is. And what I really want to see is that it has last name. So now, from now on, I'm going to use last name when I target that particular column. So I'm not going to use president anymore because I changed that. And again, the way I did that, and I have it here in my working code, you could even put a little comment here. This is the one that changed the old column name to a new column name. So I was able to do that there, and I could save this and have this. You could have this, it's almost like a worksheet. You can have all your code here. You can source code just like we did with the original one, or you could just copy and paste little bits as you run them in the console. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So we're going to be doing some queries and all kinds of things. And I think so I don't make this video too long. I think I'll just take a quick break here and then I'll dig into the queries in the next video.